and reinforced the faith of his disciples. Their faith was strengthened further when during another crossing, Jesus walked upon the water to join them in their boat. At the present-day site of Kursi on the eastern shore of the lake, a 5th century church marks the place where he expelled the demons of a possessed man, sending them into nearby pigs, which rushed headlong into the water to drown. Returning to the west side of the lake, Jesus and his disciples resumed their ministry. Large, hungry crowds gathered at Tabcha. With 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, he fed them all, 5,000 men, their women and children. The mosaic at Tabcha's Franciscan Church commemorates the miracle of the multiplication.
Then he, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, gave them to the crowds.
But not everywhere were Jesus and his message received with such hunger. In Chorazin and Bethsaida, and even in his home base of Capernaum, many resisted his teaching. Jesus denounced them.
Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida!
Suspicion, fear, and anger would follow Jesus until his last days on earth. At Caesarea Philippi, today's Banyas, Jesus assembled his disciples at the foot of Mount Hermon. There, among the towering rocks and waterfalls, Peter finally realized Jesus' true identity.
You are the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Jesus then called upon Peter to carry on the work of his kingdom.
You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church.
Banyas today is one of Galilee's most popular destinations, a natural wonderland set among the sources of the Jordan River.
Jesus led them up a high mountain apart.
6 days after visiting Caesarea Philippi, Jesus took Peter, James, and John onto a high mountain, perhaps today's Mount Tabor. Transfigured before them, Jesus gave his disciples an image to remember while they awaited his coming resurrection.
And his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light.
This shining moment would mark the end of Jesus' ministry in the Galilee and the beginning of his final earthly journey to Jerusalem. From this high mountain apart, Jesus and his disciples could look out upon much of ancient Israel, surveying the landscape of a land longing for salvation. Within sight of Mount Tabor, the Hermon is Israel's highest peak. Here, the country's only ski resort is a surprising addition to the landscape of the ancient Holy Land. Popular with Israelis and visitors from abroad, Mount Hermon symbolizes the spirit of modern Israel. The ancient Roman baths of Hamat Gader, with their healing hot springs, are another popular destination for modern Israelis in search of relaxation and good health. Hamat Gader's crocodile farm is a popular attraction, an unexpected discovery for tourists from near and far. This is one pool they keep away from. How much has the Holy Land changed since Jesus' days? Today, its ancient shores teem with new life. The once scattered Jewish people have come back to modern Israel, creating a dynamic young nation. The city of Tel Aviv, the first Hebrew city in modern history, is its cultural and commercial hub. It's a place of skyscrapers and shopping centers, a city that never stops. It's a seaside playground, a place where young and old alike share the enjoyment of life along the Mediterranean shores. Tel Aviv is Israel's state-of-the-art city, a place to live it up. Haifa, on the slopes of Mount Carmel, is another story altogether. Among the wealth of museums and cultural events are the holy places of many religions. Magnificent gardens surround the shrines of the Baha'i World Center, one of Haifa's most remarkable sites. These peaceful surroundings are another indication of modern Israel's outlook, an unwavering dedication to the concept of religious freedom and tolerance. In this nation, all are free to worship as they please. Free and open access to all holy sites is guaranteed by law and assured by tradition. Further to the north, the ancient city of Akko is a living museum. Today, its colorful fishing port welcomes all arrivals. Akko is home to Muslims, Christians, and Jews. In the past, Akko's ancient inns housed passing caravans. Its massive fortifications withstood the onslaught of Napoleon's armies. This is Akko's greatest treasure, the Knights' Halls, built by the Crusaders. These massive structures, inspired by the Gothic architecture of Europe, echo with history. King Richard the Lionhearted strode through these towering archways. Marco Polo stopped off here, walking beneath these vaulted ceilings, before setting off for the east. Once buried under centuries of rubble, these magnificent chambers are now open to all, a startling reminder of the grandeur of days gone by, and an invitation to the imagination.
Then they will rebuild the ancient ruins. They will raise up the former devastations, and they will repair the ruined cities, the desolations of many generations.
Throughout this reborn land, age-old traditions mix with contemporary joie de vivre. It's a unique blend of old and new, solemn and scintillating, the excitement of Israel. That same contrast characterizes Jerusalem. Here too, visitors from around the world find an endless range of possibilities, ancient and modern, and endlessly interesting. From the coffee houses along the downtown pedestrian mall to the colorful markets and historical sites located within the walls of the old city. Within these ancient confines, every moment echoes with history and tradition. Here, among the aromas of the spice market and the handiwork of the Holy Land's artisans, there are bargains to be had and endless hours to be enjoyed.
Very nice.
The old city's Jewish quarter is a monument to determination and a symbol of rebirth. Almost completely destroyed following Israel's War of Independence in 1948, the Jewish quarter was rebuilt after Israel reunified Jerusalem during the Six-Day War in 1967. Today, it's one of the city's most attractive residential neighborhoods, located in the heart of history. Holy sites scattered throughout Jerusalem resound with the memory of earlier times. Down every alley, around every corner, atop every hill, we find reminders of yesteryear. The weathered stones of Jerusalem echo with the voice of Jesus. Jesus' last fateful journey to the Holy City took place in an atmosphere of deepening drama. In the village of Bethany on the Mount of Olives, Jesus made his way to the home of his friends Mary and Martha. There was bad news. Their brother Lazarus had died just days before. Bethany's modern church is built atop the traditional site of Martha's house, alongside the tomb of Lazarus. As if intimating his own approaching resurrection, Jesus went to Lazarus' tomb, prayed to God, and called, "Lazarus, come out." And Lazarus was raised from the dead.
I am the resurrection and the life.
But raising Lazarus from the dead would have fatal consequences, for it came on the heels of other miracles, and word of them quickly reverberated throughout ancient Jerusalem, suffering under the yoke of Roman occupation. At the pool of Siloam, he had healed a blind man in contravention of Sabbath restrictions. At the pool of Bethesda, he had healed a cripple, but again violated the Sabbath laws. These acts, and the growing belief among many that Jesus was the Messiah, caused deep anxiety among Jerusalem's recognized religious leaders. A messianic movement had sprung up around Jesus. The high priest Caiaphas feared that Jesus' growing popularity and strength would bring on Roman intervention. And so, in a special meeting in Jerusalem, the Sanhedrin, the supreme religious authority, issued a warrant for his arrest. Jesus sought refuge in the nearby Judean desert. In the oasis city of Jericho, where he had once encountered the tax collector Zacchaeus sitting in a sycamore tree, Jesus now met the blind man Bartimaeus and restored his sight.
A blind man was sitting by the roadside. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.
The desert road would also serve as the setting for the parable of the Good Samaritan, a member of an ancient sect, an offshoot of Judaism. On Mount Gerizim near Nablus, the Samaritans carry on their traditions to this very day, still following the literal dictates of the Bible. Unlike those of modern Judaism, Samaritan Passover celebrations still include burnt offerings, a living reminder of the religious rites of 2,000 years ago. Passover, 2 millennia ago. Despite his wanderings, Jesus' final destination was inevitable: Jerusalem, the city of peace. Jerusalem the Golden, possessor of 9 of the world's 10 measures of beauty. Jerusalem, the city of David. Today the site of the Golden Dome of the Rock and the sacred Al-Aqsa Mosque, Jerusalem's Mount Moriah was then crowned by the Jewish temple. As Jesus approached Jerusalem, the city was teeming with activity. With the approach of Passover, thousands of pilgrims had swelled its population. Jesus had been here before. He had walked along the porticos of the temple. He had worshipped in its halls. He had predicted its destruction and promised to rebuild it in 3 days.
The time is coming when not one stone will be left on another.
The people of Jerusalem were well aware of Jesus' ministry and his miracles. Jerusalem's religious leaders were threatened by the arrival of the would-be Messiah. Jesus' presence would set in motion a dramatic chain of events. Near the summit of the Mount of Olives, Jesus and his disciples reached the village of Bethpage. As word of his arrival spread through the city, a large crowd of people went out to meet him, waving palm branches in a symbol of victory. Modern pilgrims reenact that procession, streaming down the western slopes of the Mount of Olives toward the old city of Jerusalem, recalling the fateful entrance of the Messiah.
Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel.
From the top of the Mount of Olives, the walled city of Jerusalem came into view, a city of towers and ramparts, crowned by the temple itself, shimmering in the sunlight. A startling sight on any day, on this day it radiated a message of tragedy and foreboding so intense that Jesus stopped and wept.
When he came close to the city and viewed it, he wept over it.
The Dominus Flavit Church, built in the shape of a teardrop, recalls that event. Nearby, the Pater Noster Church recalls the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples, words spoken to this day in all the languages of the world. 94 of them are inscribed here.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not